right, so I'm gonna start kneeling and I'm just gonna, so for me, my intention for my practice is about balance. So I am going to put one hand on like the pelvic area, the lower abdominals, the root chakra, and left hand on my heart. So you can sit however is comfortable for you. We're just gonna take a second. This is where we're gonna drop in today. So just start to sync up with your breath. Start to become present and aware. Notice how you're feeling today. This little period of mindfulness before we start movement is kind of like your warm-up for yoga, because you really get to just become present, just start to listen to what your body's telling you. Start receiving those signals and just listening. So my intention for today's practice is about balance, just because I've been feeling a little anxious lately about global events and life events. So that's going to be my intent. Feel free to set an intention for your practice if you'd like to. Alternatively, you can also just choose an affirmation to tell yourself throughout the practice. So an affirmation that I've been telling myself a lot lately is that it's a privilege to inhabit this body and it requires maintenance. So just continue syncing up with your breath, deepening the breath, and close your eyes if it feels good. Give yourself this time to consider any goals for the practice or for your day. And just start to be intentional about that here. When you're feeling centered and grounded, you can release your hands. Just place them wherever is comfortable for you. I'm going to open my palms on my lap. And we're just going to start going through some gentle neck rotations, finding any organic movement that feels good for you there. And because we're going to be doing some deep stretching today and going really slow, this is a good time just to let your body know that it's okay to relax. Draw your shoulders down, away from your ears. Notice what you feel. Notice what you hear, if anything. Listen to your body and give it what it needs. If you're carrying any tension in the neck, you can also rotate the shoulders if it feels good. Start to loosen up, massage down the upper back, bringing the scapula together. Get what you need. Deepen the breath a little bit, and we'll take another couple cycles of breath here. Take what you need from it, do some exploration, make it your own. When you feel good about it, we're going to come to extended child's pose. Just center yourself on your mat or wherever is comfortable. Big toes will come together to touch. Knees will go as wide as the mat. You're just going to walk your hands out and away from the body as you send your hips back, melt your heart and forehead down to the mat. Again, sync up with the breath here, breathing deep into the hips. You might be a little stiff or a little achy if this is your first movement of the day, so just give yourself some grace, accept where you are. Maybe walk the fingers a little further away from the body, start to elongate through the spine. Sink a little deeper into your hips with each breath. Stay present and remember your intention. From here, you're going to bring your awareness to your fingertips and just lift the head and shoulders slightly. And you're going to take that right hand, palm facing upward, and thread the needle. Go underneath the left arm and just sink back down. You can put your forehead right back where it was on the mat. Or you can come to your right ear if that feels good for you. Maybe walk those left fingertips a little further away. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Stay nice and long through the spine and breathe deep. Remember, it's okay to do a little exploration, so find any variation that feels good for you, or experiment a little bit with where you put pressure, where you bring your awareness, etc. See what you find. Take another couple of deep breaths here. Get what you need. When you feel good on this side, and only when you're ready, we're going to just take it to the other side. So to come out of it, you can bring your left hand under your left shoulder just to press up and gently unravel. And then we'll do the same thing on the right when you're ready. Left palm flips up toward the ceiling and slides under the right arm. Right hand slides toward the top right corner of the mat. And you can bring your forehead back down to the mat. If it feels good to come to your left ear, you can do that too. Whatever feels best for your body today. If you're on your forehead, you can gently roll back and forth across your forehead. Maybe walk those right fingertips a little further away from the body. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, sink back into your hips. Breathe deep into the hips. Feel that expansion in the upper back. Take another deep breath. Or maybe two, or maybe three. And when you're ready, you can mindfully bring that right hand underneath the right shoulder, press up to unravel. And we're just going to go to a tabletop pose. So take your time getting there, move slowly and with intention. Once you're in tabletop position, we'll just start with a little cat-cow. So you're going to drop the belly on your inhale, look up, open up through the chest, little back bend. Exhale, press away from the yoga mat. Abdominal wall draws inward to meet the back body, doming through the upper back. Sync up with your breath. Inhale, drop the belly, look up, open up through the chest. Just honor the natural rhythm of your breath. Take one more cycle of breath. And we'll come back to tabletop. Once there, you're gonna take your left knee all the way up and under your chest. Plant the left foot between your hands. Palms are gonna stay on the mat. Okay, keep that right hand planted. Drag the left fingertips along the outside edge of the left leg. Arms straight up toward the ceiling, big opening through the chest. And then maybe if it feels good, you bend that left elbow, bring your left arm behind your back. And just wrap around toward your right hip if it feels good. And pull that left shoulder back, open up through the chest. Maybe look up toward the ceiling. And shift your gaze downward toward the right hand. Slowly unravel, frame that left foot. From here, we're going to roll back onto the left heel for your half splits. So your hands will stay relatively near the heel. If you need to bring them closer, that's fine. Any bend in the left knee that you want, anything that feels comfortable is fine. Right hip should be just about over the right knee. You can walk your fingertips further away, relax the head and neck. Find what feels good for you, especially in the hamstrings. Breathe deep into that. Let your body know it's okay to relax. When you're ready, start by bending that left knee and roll back onto the sole of your left foot. So once again, that left foot is just framed. Left toes are going to stay facing the front edge of the mat. You're going to take that right foot and bring it toward the left edge of your mat. So we're going to come up for kind of a side lunge. So left foot stays planted. You can bring your hand to your hip. Right foot behind you. Okay. So now what we're going to do is just bring that left hand to the inside of that left knee. Use your wrist to press it open. And if you want to take a little mudra just by touching together your index and thumb, you can do that. So then you're going to tuck the tailbone, find your alignment in the spine, sink down a little bit deeper. Pressing into that inner left knee. So your abdominals are engaged, spine is nice and long. Sinking into that, finding what feels good. Notice what you feel, notice your inner dialogue, and remember your intention. When you got what you need there, you're going to straighten through that left leg. Bring those left toes to point toward the right edge of the mat. Release your right hand. Left hand is going to come down that left leg. Right hand comes up and over for a big side bend. This is your gate pose. Breathe deep into that. Notice what you feel. And then from here, this is a two-part transition. So you're going to look between your bent leg, the knee that you're on, and the left leg. Bring your hands down to the mat as you send your hips back. And you're going to roll up onto that left heel. So left toes are pointing toward the ceiling. You're going to come to almost sitting or wherever is comfortable for you on the right heel. So I'll show that again. So you're in gate pose. About halfway through the straight leg and the bent leg, you're going to bring your hands down as you roll across that left heel, left toes toward the ceiling, send the hips back. Find a sitting or close to sitting on the right heel. You're then going to walk your hands away from the body as you melt down. You should be getting into the inner hamstrings with this stretch, and also feel a nice elongation through the spine. So reach away from the body, breathe deep, find what works for you. Even if you are still up on your knee, that's fine. Listen to what your body's telling you. Breathe deep. Let your body know it's okay to relax. When you're ready, you can lift your gaze to where your hands are. You're going to slowly use glute strength in the hands to press up. And then we're just going to turn to frame that left foot at the top of the mat. You can put your hands wherever is comfortable, but you're in kind of a wide lunge here. So I like to just stay in this transition for a minute and sink deeper into the hips. So I would suggest you put your hands wherever feels comfortable for you and just sink your body weight into that left hip. Stretching through the right hip flexors. Just take a second there to notice what's going on. If anything, notice what you feel. And then when you're ready, you're going to send that left foot back to tabletop. All right, so we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this time we'll bring the right leg up for a little low lunge. Same thing if you want to take a second here just to press your weight into that right hip, you can. And you're going to keep that left palm planted, drag the right fingertips along the outside edge of the right leg, send that right hand up toward the ceiling, and maybe you bring it around behind the back to about where your left hip is. Sink deeper into that right hip, pull the right shoulder back, stay open through the chest. Take a couple of deep breaths here, notice what you feel. When you're ready, when you feel good, shift your gaze back down to that left hand. Slowly unravel with the right, keeping that right foot where it is, hands where they are. You're gonna just extend through that right knee, roll onto your right heel, right toes toward the ceiling. Let your head and neck relax. Find what works for you in terms of where your hands go or how bent or straight your right knee is. Take your time here for a few deep breaths. Breathing deep into those hamstrings. Just noticing what you feel. Notice your inner dialogue, notice where your mind goes. And try to remember your intention. When you feel good here, and only when you're ready, start by bending that right knee, coming back to the sole of the right foot. Okay, then we're going to bring the left toes toward the right edge of your mat. Come up to that side lunge. Bring your right wrist to the inside of that right knee. Press into it. If you want to take a mudra with the index finger and thumb, you can. Left hand can just stay on the waist or on the hip if you want it to. And then you're going to align the spine. So tuck the tailbone. Make sure your abdominals are engaged. You're feeling nice and strong. You should feel it. And then sink a little deeper into that right knee. Remember, you're pressing into the inner right knee, pressing it away from the body. Take a couple deep breaths. And then extend through that right knee until the right leg is straight. Right toes will face the left edge of your mat. Right hand rests on that right thigh, left hand comes up and over. For a big side body stretch. Take a couple breaths. Breathe deep into that left low back, that left hip. When you're ready, you can slowly, mindfully, with intention, bring it back up. And then again, you're going to bring the hands to somewhere between that bent leg and the straight leg. Plant them on the floor as you send the hips back and roll up onto your right heel so right toes are facing the ceiling. So you can come all the way down to sit on that left heel if it feels good, or wherever it feels good within this stretch. Once you find your spot, you can walk the hands a little further away from the body. Feel free to explore, find what works for you. Listen to what your body's telling you. Try to find what it needs. Take another couple of deep breaths here. And then slowly, mindfully, with control, bring it back up. Turn to frame that right foot with right toes facing the top edge of the mat. And if you want to just take a second here just to sink into that, you can. And then when you're ready, you can bring it back to tabletop and we'll meet in downward dog. So hips up high and back. If you're a little stiff, feel free to pedal through the feet or shift the hips left to right, whatever feels good. When you're ready and you're synced up with the breath, lift your gaze to the top edge of the mat. And then we're gonna slowly put one foot in front of the other, taking some little baby steps all the way up to the top. In your standing forward fold. So feet are about hip width apart. You're trying to bring the abdominal wall in to meet the tops of the thighs. Relax through the head and neck. If you want to clasp opposite elbows, you can do that. Maybe find a little sway, left to right. Your hamstrings are tight. This feels really good. And this is actually a pose that I just do periodically throughout the day because my hamstrings are chronically tight. It feels great. You can spend as much time there as you want. If you're working on flexibility, just try not to force anything. Try to honor the flexibility that you have now. Sometimes we try to force the body into certain poses or positions, but just trust what your body's telling you. That's much more important than what the poses look like. All right, we're gonna release the hands and then dragging the fingertips along the front edge of the body, we're gonna lift up halfway, find a nice flat back. And you can put your hands wherever you want. If you want to bring them to the tops of your thighs and tuck the elbows in, you can do that. If you want to extend them out behind you, you can do that. If you want to bring hands to heart for prayer pose, you can do that. Take a breath. On your next exhale, release the hands. And this time we're going all the way up. So plant the heels, bend the knees, dig in, drag your fingertips along the front edge of the body, and slowly, mindfully come all the way up to standing. Arms come all the way up overhead and bring them together. Prayer hands, bring those down to the heart. Take a second to close your eyes here. Feel balanced, feel grounded, feel centered. Alternatively, if you want to just stand in mountain pose, you can open up the palms and just touch index and thumbs together. Either way, align the chakra, feel balanced, sync up with your breath. Draw the shoulders away from the ears, tuck the chin a bit, stay open through the chest. Breathe deep. And one more time, release the hands, bring them all the way up overhead, clap them together, and slice it all the way down the middle, standing forward fold. Plant the palms, send the left toes back, then the right. Take a second, feel strong, get centered, check in with your intention. And then slowly lower all the way to the belly. Extend the feet out long, press up for cobra, or maybe a baby cobra. If you're feeling stiff, that's fine. We're gonna sync up with the breath and go through that movement a few times. So catch a wave, find your natural breathing rhythm, pressing up and melting back down to the mat. One more time, press up. And then the next time you melt down, you're gonna press up to plank and then downward facing dog. Hips up high and back. Take a second to catch your breath here. Find any movement that feels good for your body. Check in with that inner dialogue. Make sure you're encouraging and nurturing yourself and not being too hard on yourself if something doesn't feel or look the way you want it to. When you're ready, we're going to plant that left foot, kick the right leg up high, really reaching, get really long. Try to keep your left foot planted and your left toes pointing toward the top edge of your mat as you bend that right knee and drop that right heel down toward the left shoulder. Try to keep equal weight in both palms, opening up through that right hip. And then we're gonna draw some big circles with that right knee. So just continue opening up through that right hip, find your range of motion, meet your edge. And then lift your gaze to between your palms. And that's where you're gonna bring that right knee all the way up and through. Coming down for your pigeon pose. So try to make sure your hips stay square. Left leg is gonna go straight back behind you. You relax through the left glutes. Sitting down onto that right hip. Trying to keep the hips square. So as we transition down to the fold, you're gonna just sync up with your breath here, and just like we did with Cobra, kind of melt down and press back up. Notice your range, notice what you feel. Try not to get overwhelmed. And on your next breath, you're gonna sink all the way down. Maybe stack your fists, bring your forehead to the fists just to relax there. Maybe stack your flat palms on top of one another and rest your forehead there. Or maybe rest your forehead all the way down on the mat. Whatever feels good for you. And if you are up here with elbows bent, that's okay too. So you're gonna sync up with your breath here, breathe deep. Allow that right hip to relax. And even if you find a little gentle movement there, you can kind of roll across that right hip if it helps you to open up a little more. Or just rest, breathe deep. Let your body know it's okay to relax. Take another couple deep breaths. Turning inward, listen to what your body's telling you. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, use your hands, press into the mat and help you unravel. We will come all the way back to downward dog. Once in downward dog, like always, find any movement that feels good to you, or come to stillness. Try to draw your heels toward the mat, your abdominals toward the tops of the thighs. Pressing down, pressing the armpits down toward the mat. Fingers are spread wide. Hands rotate slightly outward. When you're ready, We're gonna plant that right foot, do the same thing on the left. So kick that left leg up high, really reaching, getting really long. Remember that integrity in the right foot. Try to keep your right toes facing forward. As you lift your gaze to between the hands, bend that left knee, drop that left heel toward the right shoulder. Pressing into both palms evenly. Remember to honor the breath, opening up through that left hip. And we're just gonna start drawing some big circles with that left knee. Whatever feels good for you, maybe reverse it if it feels good. Listen to your body. Next time around, you're gonna draw that left knee all the way up and in, shifting your gaze to between the palms, which is where you'll plant it. Extending that right leg back behind you, same thing with the foot. Try to make sure you're square through the hips. And then with your breath, you're gonna practice melting down, just like Cobra, pressing back up. Starting to notice what that feels like. And the next time you melt down, melt all the way down. Find your spot. Breathe deep into that left hip. Same thing. Let your body know it's okay to relax. These deep stretch holds are where you gain the most flexibility, so try to be intentional about where you bring your awareness and how you honor the breath. Take your time here to explore, to relax, to remember your intention. Try to always be present in the sensations of the body, especially during exercise, instead of rushing through or ignoring them. All the sensations you feel during yoga is just your body's way of communicating with you. So listening to those signals is how you learn about your own anatomy. Spend another couple of breaths here if it feels good. When you're ready, and only when you're ready, you're going to use your palms to press up and unravel. And we will meet in downward facing dog. Find what you need there. If you want to pedal through the feet, move through the hips a bit. If you want to just take stillness, you can do that. If you want to stretch deeper through the hamstrings and calves, you can sink your weight into one hand, lift the other, and bring it to the opposite calf. Look underneath your armpit. Find what feels good. Whatever you do to one side, do it to the other. And then one more time, we're going to tiptoe, one foot in front of the other, slowly walk all the way up to the top of your mat for a standing forward fold. Let the head and neck relax if it wasn't already. Let the shoulders relax. If you want to clasp opposite elbows, you can do that. If you want to sway back and forth, you can do that. If you want to just relax here, you can do that. Usually any yoga pose where I have accessibility to my feet, I try to pay attention to them because I feel like they don't get a lot of attention as they should. You know, how your feet feel has a big impact on how you feel, so don't forget about them, it's all connected. All right, from here we're gonna plant the heels, dig into the heels, slight bend in the knee as you slowly drag your fingertips along the front edge of the body. We're gonna come all the way back up to mountain pose. Open up the palms in front of you. Roll your shoulders back, open up through the chest, tuck the chin. Close your eyes if it feels good and take a deep breath. Breathe deep. Notice what you feel. And then when you're ready, you can slowly open the eyes. We're going to bend the knees, send the hands out in front of you. Keep bending the knees and come all the way back to a boat pose. So land on your hips, lift the feet, try to do it without your hands. Believe it or not, the number of limbs that it takes you to touch the ground to get up and down is an indicator of your overall health. So see if you can challenge your balance, it's important. I'm not great at this pose, but if you want to try to extend the legs out and extend the arms out, you can do that. And then we're going to take it to a low boat. So bring it all the way down. Hold there. And then relax. From here, you're going to draw that left knee in toward the left armpit. Right leg stays out long. You're just going to draw some small circles with that left knee, kind of massaging the hip flexors. Notice what you feel. If you want to bring that knee toward the midline of the body and then away, you can do that. Just listen to whatever's happening in the hip. Try to find what your body needs. All right, from here, I am going to press into my right heel. I'm going to use my right hand to bring that left knee across the body and toward the floor. My left arm stays straight out next to me to kind of anchor that left shoulder toward the floor. So you should get a big torso twist and glute stretch here. If you need to shift your hips toward the left edge of your mat, that sometimes is helpful for people. Try to find what feels good for you here. And breathe deep into that. Take another cycle of breath. And when you're ready, you'll slowly, mindfully, with control, unravel and bring it back to center. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So send the left leg out long. Right knee comes in toward that right armpit, chest, right shoulder area. And just find your little hip flexor massage. So if you're drawing small circles, or bringing that knee toward the midline of the body and then away, whatever feels good. And then when you're ready, if you need to shift your hips to the right, you can do that. You're going to use that left hand to guide that right knee across the body and toward the floor. Right arm goes out to the right to kind of anchor that right shoulder toward the mat. Finding that nice torso twist and glute stretch. Breathe deep, let your body know it's okay to relax. Notice if you're holding or squeezing or tightening anything anywhere and try to relax. Take your time on this side if it feels good. And when you're ready, you can slowly unravel. We'll bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall apart toward the floor. I am again gonna put my left hand on my heart and my right hand on my lower abdominals, just to connect with the chakra. You can put your hands wherever feels good. If you just want to rest them on your abdominals, you can do that. If you want to open them up to left or right, you can do that. Just listen to your body, remember your intention, breathe deep. Take this time to absorb the nutrients of your practice. Feel good about what you did. Remember, it's a privilege to inhabit these bodies and they require maintenance. Make sure you prioritize self-care today and this week. Remember your intention. And try to be intentional about all the ways you move and behave in the world. Take a few more deep breaths just to relax, so give yourself that time. If it feels good, you can bring your palms together and rest them gently at the third eye or on the forehead. We recognize that for some, yoga is a spiritual practice, and we honor that. We also recognize that for all of us, yoga is a community. And I thank you so much for being part of my community today. I hope you got what you need out of this practice, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.